Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. Hope all are doing amazing out there, taking care of yourselves, understanding more about yourself, and giving love to those parts of yourself that arise. As we do this work to move ourselves into that place that we want to be, to tune our dial to that place that we want to be, there are things that are going to arise in our consciousness that don't feel good. Things, beliefs, thoughts, ideas that we've been holding on to for so long that are keeping us from that happiness and joy and fulfillment that we want to have in life. As we actively do this work to move ourselves to that place that we want to be, there are going to be things that present in our awareness that have been keeping us from that very thing that we want. The topic that was drawn a few weeks ago was the topic of death, and although I do want to speak about that, I've been feeling like I wanted to speak about the idea of transition first. Transition is something that is so much part of our everyday life. Things are constantly transitioning into different places. As we speak about tuning our dial to that place that we want to be in, that is transition that's happening. That's transition in motion. And as we transition to our more full self, as we transition to stepping into that place that we want to be or that person that we want to be, we are moving away from something that no longer serves us. And in many ways, that is like a death. It's the death of a belief. It's the death of a thought. It's the death of an idea. It's the death of a personality that no longer serves you. And this death is part of this transition that we are constantly moving through. I've been having a lot of conversations recently, and a lot of them have had this conversation about death, have had this topic of death in the middle of it. And not in the way of the laying down of the body, but in the way of letting go of beliefs and letting go of old ideas and old personalities and things that just don't feel good. Things that you know don't serve you anymore. And these are things that come up for all of us as we do this work. And transitions can be something that's so scary. I mean, think about transitioning to a different job or a different location, or just transitioning your group of friends or the people that you're surrounded by. Those transitions can be very scary because those are people and ideas and beliefs and things that we've held on to for so long that even if they don't feel good, it's what we know. The saying, it's the devil that I know, as far as just holding on to things that don't serve us, things that don't feel good, but it's what we know. And the fear of that ambiguous space of what's coming after or what's next or what the transition to that next place looks like, it can be very scary. So we stick to what we know. And a lot of times, even though we want to move to a different place, that fear can keep us exactly where we are. But just like change, transition is something that's always constant. We can't avoid it. It's just something that we just have to deal with. It's something that we have to welcome in many ways. Otherwise, that resistance is going to not feel good in itself. There are these things that we want to move towards and achieve and feel in our lives, and there are things that we've been holding on to that don't allow us to feel that way, or very opposite of that feeling that we want to have. Different thoughts of doubts and insecurities and restrictions and judgments and things that just bog us down mentally, physically, emotionally. And as we shed those things, as we say, this is something that no longer serves me, and we shed that and let that go, that is actively transitioning. And we're doing that all the time. As you take a moment to breathe instead of reacting, that is a transition from where you were before. We're constantly growing and understanding ourselves more and transitioning to a new state of being where we feel more whole in ourselves. And as we do this work, more things are going to come up, more things that need to be transitioned through, more things that need to be looked at and valued for the purpose that they served. Because no matter what belief that we have or idea or thought, at some point it served us. At some point it allowed us to maybe move through an environment with more ease. Maybe it allowed us to get through a different situation in a way that kept us mentally stable. But now that we're realizing and recognizing that our happiness and our joy and our fulfillment and our oneness with ourself, that is something that is most important. As we come to that realization, there are going to be things that start to arise that may seem very challenging, but you're in a place right now where you're ready to take that on. You're actively wanting to make that transition, so these things are going to come up in your life. And give yourself that love. Give yourself that understanding. Give yourself the allowance to realize that I may have made that choice, I may have made that decision, I may have believed that thing, but I only believed those things or did those things or acted in that way because of what I felt I understood in that moment. And we can allow ourselves the love and the compassion to transition to that next place, because there's so many things that we hold on to that we feel as though we can't let go, things that are unforgivable, things that seem like we'll have to hold those things forever. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth of what is. In every single moment, we have the opportunity to transition away from those things that don't serve us. And we know what doesn't serve us by how it feels. Our feelings are always our best guidepost. As I've said before, these transitions can be something very difficult. They can be very challenging because on the other side of that, we may not know what that looks like. We may not know what that feels like to be that person or be in that place or to live by those ideas. But transition is something, it's not a radical change, it's a transition. It's something that is gradual, and there's a motion to it. There's an ebb and flow to it. And as we welcome that ebb and flow, as we welcome that gradual motion to that place that we want to be, we can allow ourselves more ease even in the thought of what comes next. What comes after I let go of this belief that's been the foundation of everything that I've been doing? It's been how I've been moving. It's been how I've been thinking about all things around me. How do I live life outside of these ideas and outside of these beliefs? And it can be something so scary to think about, but as we welcome those thoughts and those ideas and give it love and give it compassion and recognize the transitions that we've already gone through and still are right here, we can welcome those new transitions and we can let go of those ideas with more security, knowing that I'm going to be okay. Because this thing that doesn't feel good, I know that after I let it go, there will be a weight lifted off of me. Because I've done it before. I've let go of some pain, I've let go of some regret, I've let go of some shadows of my past, and as I let them go, as I came to better understanding in them, I felt good, I felt better. The things that I thought constructed my entire reality that wasn't the most pleasant feeling, as I let them go and thought that, everything would end after that, everything didn't end. Everything actually improved. I understood myself better. I understood strengths about myself more. I came to value myself more. As we make these transitions, they can be very scary, but as we kind of look and reflect on the things that we've transitioned through, then we can move forward in each and every moment, valuing the transition that's occurring right now in this moment. Every single moment there's a transition happening. As you have a new thought, as you have a new idea, that is a transition that's taking place. And there are more radical things that we want to transition in our lives that may seem a lot more challenging, but it's by recognizing the small steps that we've taken that we can realize that this mountain that we're looking at may not be as difficult to climb as I thought it would be. Because I've climbed a few mountains in my past, and I'm still here. I'm stronger than I was before. I understand myself more. I'm more full in myself because I've crossed those mountains. And this one that's right in front of me, this is no different. Now, I can worry about how difficult or challenging it's going to be, but that worry doesn't serve me anymore. Even those beliefs, as we climb that mountain, as we move to that new place that we want to be, there are things that are going to come up in our lives. Different things that may feel as though we're weak or we're undeserving or that we aren't ready for it. Those things that don't serve us, those things that don't feel good, they're going to arise. And as we take each step forward, realizing and recognizing that we can and will move through each and every obstacle that's presented in front of us. As we grow into that strength and understanding, we climb that mountain, and at the end of the day, we end up at the summit. At some point, we end up at the summit of that mountain, and we realize all of the strengths that we've gained as we've started to let go of those beliefs. Because every step forward that you take, you're letting go of a new belief. You're letting go of something, and no matter how small it is, it's something that's contributing towards your happiness and your realization of who you are. What does this transition mean in your own life? What do the things that we want to move towards, what does that mean for you? Each and every person is different, and that's also a belief that we have to let go of, the belief that we have to do what others are doing, that we have to move in the way that other people are moving. The only place that we have to move is in the direction that's right for us. As we climb that mountain, we're letting go of those beliefs of the world. We're letting go of those beliefs of other people, things that other people have instilled upon us that have been more restricting, things that don't serve the empowerment that we feel within ourselves and that we wish to feel within ourselves. It's through these transitions, through these beliefs, it's the letting go of these beliefs and moving past them that we start to grow in our own strength. And just as the conversation of death, which is many people believe it's just another transition, it's something that's very difficult to speak about because we don't have those conversations very often. And the idea of transition is something that we also don't very much have the conversation about, yet it's happening in every single moment. What does transition mean to you? How have you transitioned in your life? What are the transitions that you've noticed? Because that reflection of your own experiences is what's going to get you through that next step. It's what's going to get you up that mountain. And no matter what, you're going to get up that mountain. No matter what, you're going to get up that mountain. But how much of yourself are you allowing to be restricted in that process? How much of yourself are you allowing to remain in those doubts and insecurities as you climb that mountain? We have to realize in ourselves where we are and what we've been doing and the things that we've been holding on to and the things that no longer serve us. No one else can tell you that for you. Like, this is something that you have to discover for yourself. And that's also something that can be a big transition. The realization that we are our own teacher. We are our own master, so to speak. We are the only ones that can tell ourselves best what we want, what we feel, what we desire, and what no longer serves us. Allow yourself to welcome the transitions that are occurring in your life. Just as we allow the transition of the sun setting and the moon rising, I mean, this is a transition that's happening all the time, day to night. We're constantly enmeshed in transitions, and the moment that we allow those things to be what they are, the less of a strain that they have on us. Just the thought in itself that transition can be something so difficult, it's something that keeps us in the exact place that we don't want to be. So again, where do you want to transition? Where are these transitions occurring in your life? And how do you want them to occur? How do you want this next transition in your life to occur? And what do you want that to look like? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves always. Because again, transition is happening all the time. And are we being active in that transition process? Or are we being very passive and allowing these beliefs and thoughts and these ideas that don't serve us anymore to move us and transition us to darker places or places that we just don't want to stay in? Allow yourself that time and that space to be with yourself and ask yourself, what do you want to experience in this life? Where do you want to be in this life? And what are the things that are coming up that seem like they're against that? Because those are the things that we have to let go. Those are the things that we have to transition away from in order to be in that place that we feel that we want to be. It's a process, and it's something that we have to transition into understanding. Even the realization that we are transitioning or that we can be active in that transition process is something that many of us don't hold on to, or many of us haven't been instilled with the realization of. So allow yourself that time and that space to ask yourself, what do you truly desire, and what are the things that are keeping you from that? And allow yourself the transition to move away from it, to let them go with love, to know that they've served their purpose and that they no longer have a place in where you are moving towards. And again, this is a process. This isn't something that, something arises and then we can just immediately let it go. So allow yourself that space and that opportunity to realize that this is something that may take time. This is something that may be a transition that's very slow and gradual. And that's okay. As long as you're moving up that mountain, every step is so important. And as we acknowledge that and allow ourselves the opportunity to value that, we can allow ourselves to move forward in various transitions with more ease and more grace and more truth within ourselves. So, as I said before, this was kind of like a prequel towards the episode of death. I think that there are so many concepts just within this idea of transitioning that are so much within the essence of death. And many people may say, even though the removal of these ideas or these thoughts or these old way of being is like a death and a shedding of an old skin. And as I kind of think about this idea of death and think about the conversations I've been having, I think there's so much value towards just this idea of transitioning in this life, in this physical life that we have, and the realization, the valuing of that, and how it can be something that's so valuable and impactful towards just the conversation of the death that many people may think of when they hear the word. So that's all I really have for this episode. If you have any thoughts or ideas or anything like that you'd like to share, you can send those to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join any of the social media groups: Instagram, everything.sunpodcast, Twitter, @everysunpodcast, and the Facebook group, @everysunpodcast as well. And yeah, that's all I got. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you soon.